Welcome back to the Expansion Edit. As promised, we are here for episode 10, where I'm going to offer you a little case study from capacity chaos to clean expansion. The proof that chaos isn't permanent. Every founder thinks they're the exception until they're not. You built the revenue, you got the clients, you got the team, and yet one morning you wake up and realize the business that was supposed to give you freedom has turned into a machine that you're chained to. This is the story of a founder who was stuck in that exact place, running a thriving 7-figure business that looked great from the outside, but was quietly eating them alive. What changed? Not a new guru, not a shiny tool, not another sprint. What changed was recalibration, the shift from capacity chaos into clean expansion. And today I'm going to walk you through their story, anonymized but real, so that you can see what it looks like when the expansion edit isn't just a theory, but an actual lived transformation. And more importantly, so that you can ask yourself, what part of this story am I already living? So let's start with the founder at the edge. Picture a founder at the helm of a boutique consulting firm. 7 figures in revenue, double-digit headcount, a reputation that keeps clients knocking. From the outside, they're crushing it. Inside, it was a different story. Their calendar looked like a battlefield, back-to-back calls, endless approvals, every single client deliverable seemed to need their stamp. The team was talented but hesitant, funneled every decision up the ladder because they'd learned that the founder would eventually jump in and fix it anyway. They weren't steering a business. They were running a relay race where the baton never left their hand. So imagine trying to captain a ship while also swabbing the decks, cooking in the galley, and adjusting the sails. You can keep it afloat for a while, but eventually, you're not the captain. You're the chaos. Capacity chaos isn't just about being busy. It's being indispensable in all the wrong ways. And it shows up a little like this. Decision bottlenecks. Nothing moves without you. Overfunctioning. You're solving problems 2 levels down because it's just faster if I do it. Reactive leadership. The whole company runs on your adrenaline, not a system, not a standard. And invisible resentment. You smile for the team, you deliver for the clients, but privately, you wonder why success feels so damn heavy. This founder thought they had a systems problem, but what they really had was a capacity problem. They were the single point of failure. And the scariest part? They were so good at carrying the load that no one else could see how close they were to dropping it. Every founder has a moment where the mask slips. For this one, it came in the form of missed moments. A client deliverable slipped, not because the team wasn't capable, but because the founder was the bottleneck for final approval. The project limped over the finish line, but the true cost was real, and that was trust. At the same time, their personal life was fraying. They were missing family dinners, canceling weekends, showing up physically present, but mentally fried. That's when it hit them. This was not sustainable. The business they had built with so much pride was consuming the very life it was supposed to enhance. It's like building a house so beautiful, you never want to leave it, and then realizing you've accidentally locked yourself inside. This first step wasn't a new system or hire. It was a recalibration. We did a capacity audit, mapping where their time, energy, and decision-making were actually going. The results? Brutal clarity. 40% of their week was spent in meetings they didn't need to attend. 25% was spent editing, approving, or fixing work that the team could own. The rest was split between urgent client issues and trying to squeeze in actual strategy after hours. No wonder they were fried. Their calendar wasn't a leadership schedule, it was a scavenger hunt of survival. And the recalibration forced them to see if you're actually always at capacity, you're not scaling, you're just slowly suffocating. So I want you to ask yourself, where am I carrying weight in my business that could be redistributed tomorrow if I stopped defaulting to, I'll just handle it? Next came systems and guardrails, the boring, unsexy work that really changes everything. We cut their meeting load in half by asking one question. Does this move the business forward, or does it just make me feel in control? Approvals were replaced with minimum viable standards, checklists, and examples the team could execute without the founders hovering. Guardrails were introduced. No meetings before 10 a.m., no project approvals unless it met an objective standard, and weekly ownership reports instead of daily interruptions. These weren't massive overhauls. They were edits. And those edits gave the founder something priceless: margin. Think of it like putting bumpers on a bowling lane. The ball still rolls, the game still plays, but you're no longer careening into the gutter every frame. Here's what most founders resist: identity. This leader had always been the fixer, the one clients could call, the one the team knew would jump in, and the one who carried it all. But survival mode leadership doesn't scale. Doesn't matter how noble it feels, being the hero eventually makes you the hazard. So the identity upgrade meant redefining their role, not as an operator, but as an architect, not as the fixer, but as the strategist, not as the bottleneck, but as the builder of standards. And let's be honest, it felt awkward at first, like letting go of the wheel, but slowly they began to see that the less they carried, the stronger the business became. So, a question for you: if my team only sees me as the firefighter, how will they ever learn to keep sparks from becoming flames? And do I always have to be the one to set myself on fire to keep everyone else warm? Let that land. Probably burns a little. Finally, we built their expansion blueprint. Not a one-time plan, but a living growth framework that includes the 5 pillars I mentioned before in the last episode. Vision, clarity on what they were building for, not just what they wanted to earn. Capacity, hard guardrails for bandwidth and energy. Market position, a sharpened stance in the industry, uncopyable and clear. Visibility, aligned channels that didn't feel like performance theater. And offer flow, a simplified suite that curated and created a natural path for clients instead of a tangled menu. This wasn't about adding more. It was about aligning what already existed. It's like tuning an instrument. The notes were there. They just needed to be calibrated so the whole business could finally play in harmony. So the results? Within 3 months, the shift was visible. Meetings were cut by 50%, but decisions happened faster. Client projects moved without bottlenecks. Team morale lifted because they finally had ownership instead of waiting in line for approvals. And the founder went from working 70-hour weeks to 45 with more revenue, not less. Now, to be clear, I'd like them to be working less than 45, and that's where we're going. But we had to start somewhere, so that was a pretty dramatic shift. Clean expansion isn't about ease. It's about clarity. And clarity in this case was the difference between a founder hanging on by their fingernails and a leader steering from vision. So what would it look like for you if growth gave you back your life instead of draining it? Let's talk about what you can take away from this story. Capacity chaos is not permanent. It's a signal that your leadership identity hasn't caught up to your business's growth. Small edits create massive margin. Guardrails and standards are not glamorous or sexy, but they buy back the clarity that you're starving for and the time. Blueprints beat playbooks. Copying someone else's plan is always going to collapse. Building your own, tied to your vision and your capacity, creates momentum that sticks. And clean expansion is real. You don't need to burn out to break through. The founder in this case study isn't special. They didn't have more talent, more energy, or more grit than you. What they had was the courage to admit, what got me here won't get me there. So that's the invitation for you too. To stop carrying chaos as if it's the cost of success and start editing your business into alignment with the leader you're becoming. This is the expansion edit. And next time we'll talk about positioning, specifically whether you're moving as a thought leader or a legacy builder. And you'll know which one you are and which one your next business actually needs. I'll look forward to seeing you there.